Welcome back to Shul Lights. Today we're going to be talking about Li minus green filters and how they affect the delta UV or the tint of your emitter, as well as output. And then after that, we're going to talk about DC fix, which is commonly used to make the beam more floody. You can see some DC fix installed on my light. Let's see here. Right there. You can see these emitters have that kind of frosty look to them. Let me turn it off here. Let's catch the light. Maybe you can see it. DC fix right there, and then these two are clear. Now, let's start with the minus green here. So first off, the minus green comes in 5 different densities from 801 to 805. The 803 and the 804 is what I got here in front of me, and this is what's commonly used in the community. And the 803, sometimes called a -3, and the 804 is called a -4, have different densities and do a different amount of minus green. So let's take a look first at what a standard LHD 351D 5700K emitter will do on my Zirconic. So I'll hold it up here and measure it. Okay, that's what we got here. So the emitter is coming in at a positive 0.0042, so delta UV above the black body locus. And then if I were to take the thinner of the two, the less dense, which is the 804, stick it on here and do it again, we just measured just a little under, so 0.004. So it took a green emitter and made it neutral, or maybe just slightly rosy, but I don't think anybody would notice that. That's going to look neutral. Now let's take the 803, which is more dense, stick it on there, and do the same thing. And you can see that now it's negative 0.0028, and that would look rosy to your eye. I find that the 2021 vintage of the Nietzsche 2 SW45K, from Hank at least, come in right around here. So you can see that I can take a Samsung LHD 351D, put this on there, and get that. Now, at what cost, right? Well, the cost is lumens. So we find that the denser 803 loses roughly 20%. I say roughly because it depends on where you are in the ramp, what kind of optic you're using, a lot of stuff like that. But it's around 20% lumens. And the 804 is a little less at about 15%. What's interesting, though, and look at my data here because I did this before, notice that the LHD 351D by itself was generally measuring around 40 points above neutral. If I put an 804 filter on there, or a -4, I would get around neutral, or just about 2 points below, and you lose 15%. But look at this. If I put an 803 on there, it turns very rosy at 30 points now, and you only lost an additional 5%. So that's something interesting there. So what I take away from that is you're taking away green, but other factors like the gel itself or other colors are contributing to this total light loss. And so by making it more dense or moving more green doesn't necessarily, make the lumens tank a lot. So that's interesting. Now, I also want to point out that I did a bunch of testing, but right around this is accurate. And that is that 804s, you can generally expect about a 42-point negative dive on the delta UV, and the 803s is around a 70 point. Now, plus or minus, right? This might be as low as 38 or as high as 45. This might be, 5 points plus or minus as well. And you can see that because down below, I've got an SFT thrower. This is the Manker Striker, and I did the same stuff with it. And you can see that it worked out to similar values, okay? So 42 here, 46 here, 70 here, 68 there. You get it. So, and one last thing I want to point out is if you double stack it like this, you take an 804 and 803, it does exactly what you would think. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's see there. So now you can see that I'm reading a very rosy, negative 0074. All right, so that's the Lee minus green here. And let's talk about DC fix, which we often use to make things floodier. And that's why I got my lumen tube here. So I'm going to measure this light right here with the Samsung emitters. And then I'm going to stop the camera, go install some DC fix, and we're going to measure it again. Now, I measured this earlier at step 4 of 7, and I got 265 lumens. Let's see if I still do. Oh, let's see here. That said 262, it said. Oh, there it is, 265. Yeah, 265, okay? We'll do it one more time. Put it right here. Oh, I don't even have the screen illuminated well. Sorry, guys. Let me try again. There you go. 266, 265. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the camera. We'll install the DC fix and see what it does. One more thing I thought to show you was what the beam pattern looks like on the LH351D before DC fix. So I'm going to hold this light at the exact same distance after DC fix, and it should be floodier, maybe less intense as well, right? Because the beam is going to be spread out more. So we'll do this in one moment. Okay, I'm back. I got the DC fix installed, and there it is. So it definitely is spreading out. It's more floody. It's less defined. It seems less intense to me, but it's also been 10 minutes. So hopefully when we cut in the editing, it'll be really obvious that one's more intense and more defined. Okay, first thing we want to do is verify that the DC fix... Oh, you know what? Maybe I should show what DC fix looks like. DC fix comes on big sheets, and it's got a peel-away backing. And it basically is just kind of frosted plastic. And it's sticky on one side, so you can stick it to my finger there. And it just diffuses the beam nicely. So that's what DC fix is. It comes on these giant rolls. Anyhow... let's go ahead and measure it. So turn it on. I'm on 4.7 and measure. Okay, let's see what we got. We got 41 delta UV. And if you look at my paper here, without the DC fix, I was 40. So it has not changed our delta UV at all. Let's just mess around here just for a second before we get to lumens. Put the -3 back on, and with the delta UV here, it says negative 0.2, and that's exactly what I got before. So you can see that the DC fix isn't changing the tint at all. So it's just completely about beam spread and intensity, maybe light loss, right? So let's take a look at light loss. So we knew that it was 265 lumens. Let's take a look at what we got now. Okay, here we go. And in there, and turn the machine on, and here we go. All right, 246. All right, let me turn it off, let it rest for a second. It's cold right now, so before we were getting 266, dropping to 265. Let's see what we're getting again. And 248. Okay, let's try it one more time. And 246. All right, 247. So there you go. So it's a minimal amount of light loss. There is some light loss, and that makes sense because it's passing through a film. But knowing that you're altering the beam significantly in a floodier way, and I mean, let's do the math on that really quickly. So if I do my math correctly, which I think we just take 246 and divide it by 265, we get 93%. So you're still having 93% of the light transmission, so about a 7% loss. That sounds fine to me. That doesn't sound like a problem at all. If it was like 20 or 30%, I think DC fix would sound like a bad deal. But to completely alter the beam spread for about 8%. Oh, just to give you an idea here, guys, if you take glass here, and I just noticed recently people have been complaining about anti-reflective coatings. They've been saying, because they're often green, and so or magenta, and the idea is that those coatings are affecting the tint of the light, and they probably is, but minorly. Here's the thing, guys. This glass in my D4 right now, if you look, see how white the reflection off my video light is? See how it's completely white, right? See how anything that's reflecting in it isn't tinted? That tells you that this is untinted glass. And I know that, I know that Hank's doing that because he doesn't want to change the tint, okay? Here's another way to look at it. You can see the overhead lights. I got some shop lights in here. See how white they are? Now look at this glass. See how orange it is? And then let's look at the video light, if I can get it. See how orange it is compared to this one? So this in the anchor here, this is anti-reflection, an AR coating, anti-reflection coating. Now, let me tell you something, because I used to do a bunch of astronomy, used to sell telescopes. The thing about anti-reflective coatings is you put them on each air to glass surface to lower transmission loss. And if you do it properly with really good multi-coatings, you can take that transmission loss down to like 1/4 to 0.5% per surface. So you might lose 1% loss on really great multi-coated optics, maybe 2% if they're not great. But just plain glass like this, you could lose up to 8% just for the glass. So yeah, let's put that into perspective. So if you're losing 8% on DC fix, that sounds like nothing to me, considering that a glass surface, 2 at least, one entering, one leaving, can be up to 8%. And people often go for the uncoated versus the coated because they don't want that tint shift. So there you go, guys. Hope that was informative. Yeah, we took a look at some minus green, we got those values, and we looked at the DC fix, which was like 8% light loss, maybe 7%. I will see you in the next video, guys. Man, I've been rolling them out this week, tons. So just make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you hit that bell so that every time the content comes out, you get it. And I'll see you in the next video.